Today we will study the problems in a C-in statement. If you remember from previous class, I introduced to you, but today I want to go in a bit detail that a C-in statement is basically used to get input from user. Okay, but mostly a C-in statement is getting input character by character. Okay, so it is best suited if you are reading character, or if you want to get input from user as a character. Okay, so then cin is the best one, but cin has a problem. As I told you that there is a input and output buffers in a computer. So sometime when we enter a character and press enter, then the cin statement gets the character, but it leaves the so yeah, when there is a enter, you see it is like this. Let's suppose this is a keyboard, okay, and the keyboard is connected to the input buffer. So input goes from the keyboard to the buffer. Okay, this is buffer, this is input buffer. Okay, and whatever we type from keyboard, it goes here and it is in the buffer, and the computer read from the buffer, and especially cin read from the buffer character by character. Okay, so if let's suppose we enter a character X, and after that we press enter, okay, and then cin will read the X, okay, and it will be processed in a computer. But you see the enter is also a button in a keyboard, so this is also one character, but this is still there in the buffer. So next time if we want to read Y, then computer consider the enter as a character and don't catch the Y. So this is a problem with cin statement. Okay, so let me show you through an example. uh, I have created here, but I think let me type for you once again. Okay, so until this point should be okay, because it is a quite common template. Include IOStream, string, CMath. This one I will use later. I will introduce to you. This is for math functions. Okay, so let's suppose we have a string variable name, and we have int variable, let's suppose age. Okay, you can declare many variables also, but at this point, so if I type a prompt cout, enter your name and slash colon, so okay, and then cin name semicolon, and after that if I copy the same thing once again and paste, enter your age. Okay, and here I change the variable from name to age. Then let's display the name and the age. You enter your name as, after that again the name, semicolon. And let's put at the beginning backslash n also. And in the same way, if I copy and you entered your name as and your age as, so this one should be the age. And let's run. You see the prompt, enter your name. So if I type my name, okay, enter. So you see, did you realize I type my name and after that a message comes in, enter your name, but computer didn't wait for me to get the age. Okay, the message came, enter your age, but it didn't wait for me. Why? Because as I told you that in the input buffer, when I type my name, okay, my full name, after that I press enter. So computer took the cin only reads character and leave, and not the point, leaves what? Leaves space, okay, space, tab, and enter. Okay, or this is also called new line. We simply call it from in keyboard it is enter, but sometimes it is called new line also. Okay, so computer, the cin statement don't read these character. So these characters still left in the buffer. Okay, and next time when computer comes, so you see one problem, then computer only read the first word, and when space comes in, you see, then it stop reading. Okay, and after that, next time when it comes again for reading, then it takes the space or the enter, anything, but you see space, enter, and tab, these are non-printable character, non-visible character. It cannot be seen. Okay, so the cin statement take any of these and consider as a next input and don't wait for us and go ahead to next line. So if you see, it display only my first name, and after that you enter your age as 0. So you see, it computer didn't wait, and the default value is considered. Do you understand this? This is actually the problem with cin statement. So how to fix it? How to fix it? One way, that if you want to read your full name, not only the first name, then don't use cin. If you are using a string, okay, not character, then don't use cin, but use getLine. Okay, getLine is a function. It gets two arguments. Later on we will study what argument means, what function means. Okay, but at this moment you just understand this thing, that use getLine, and in a parenthesis use cin and then comma and then the variable that you want to store in. So if I write like this and save it, okay, so it will solve the one problem, but the another problem still exists. So you see, enter your name. So if I type my name, full name again, and press enter, yeah, so this time it works. Okay, this time it works, and it waits for my age also. Okay, so enter, and then you see my full name and then age. Okay, so in this case, if you are reading characters, then when you are using cin statement, then another solution is this one, that instead of this, you see, I will use the same cin again. Okay, cin statement, but in this case it will again not read my full name. And after the cin statement, you see, one time it read from the input buffer, then we need to clear the input buffer, that next time when the cin comes for reading, then there should not be any leftover spaces or tabs there. So to clean this one, there are two functions, like cin dot clear. Okay, one this one, and after this you will have to type brackets, and one way it will clear the buffer. Another one, cin dot ignore, it actually ignores a number of characters that you want to specify. Okay, so if you don't specify in the bracket any number of characters, it will only ignore one character. If you want to ignore 5 character, sorry, 10 character, then type 10. If you want 100 characters, then type 100. If you want 1000 characters, then type 1000. So one way, if you want that, okay, if there are 1000 characters, skip that one first, one thing, or not the point, it is or, it will take one of these two actions, or ignore backslash or until new character, ignore 1000 character, or ignore everything until you reach uh, uh, an enter character is there, backslash t. Okay, for backslash t, and for new line is backslash n. Okay, so this is another way, another solution, but the string one is still there. So let's save this one and run once again. So enter your name. So let's suppose if I type my full name, it will again not take my full name, but you see it this time it waits for age. Why? Because we use the cin dot clear and cin dot ignore, the previous leftover thing already ignored. So then I can enter age, let's suppose whatever. Okay, then you see you enter your name as, you see it didn't took my full name even though I have typed my full name, because see in only read until a space or tab. Okay, and then it leave that one, and after that we wash out the buffer, and then it wait for the age. Sir, is there any difference between get line variable and cin dot get line? Yeah, semicolon. You see, it doesn't work. Okay, so the correct way is not like this. Cin get line, and then cin, and then comma, and then the variable that you want. So to answer your question, cin dot sorry, get line and cin and variable, this is the correct thing. The second one is not correct. Cin dot get line and then variable. Is it clear? Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, very good question. So these are the issues in cin statement, and to solve this, one way, not the point. If you are reading and writing string, string is a long text. If you are reading and writing string, then use get line function. And if you are dealing with characters, then to solve the problem, use cin dot ignore or cin dot clear. And there is another function also, that if you want to read only one character, okay, not the point, then you can use cin dot get also. Okay, and cin dot get will only read one character. You cannot read like a one word, like my name. Okay, my first name, it cannot read all, or it can only read one character. Okay, so next one. Yeah, this is the same thing. Okay, I already explained cin dot ignore and this one. Okay, there are some functions of string functions, already built-in functions. Like for example, if there is any string variable, you can find out its length automatically, and you can do concatenation. Concatenation, the plus operator is doing concatenation, like joining of two strings. Let me show you how it works. Any function, any text, and then we can use different uh, functions on this variable, like for example cout name. If you press after this name, if you press dot, you see these much functions are there of string, like you see copy, cr begin, data, empty, and find. Okay, yeah, so I want to show you the length one. See in dot name dot length. Yeah, should be okay. It is a function. Yeah, it's a function. There is a difference between function and property, but I don't think so that you can understand at this point. Okay, so function needs parentheses, property don't needs parentheses. Okay, so if I save this one, okay, and run, you will see 17. Okay, so if you count the number of character in my name, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The space is also character 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I again space 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So 17 character. And you can, if you want to add some prompt, then the length of this string equal to this one. Yeah, so then it will display the message also. So one way to use the length function of the string class, we can find out length of any character. It may be any size. Okay, one thing. Another one, if you have another string variable also, like for example, string name 2 equal to hello semicolon, and if I type comma after this and name 3 equal to space word. And after that, if I type like this, cout the to, to join the two strings, and after that I will apply like this. You see, like name 1 plus. You see the plus is used for concatenation, for joining. Plus, sorry, name 2 and name 3. Yeah, so if I see out this one, let me comment this, save it. You see the output, hello and word. Okay, so this is used for joining two strings together. There are many other functionality, and you can use like this also, that this plusing you can use like this also, that let's suppose you have another string variable like phrase equal to num2 name2 plus name3. semicolon. You can do like this also. Then the concatenated, the joining word will be assigned to phrase. Okay, but another easy one, and string last name or full name e plus equal to first name and then cout name, semicolon. Let's try. Oh, yeah, it works. Okay. So my point is that you can use the concatenation operator alone also, like the same thing. You can write like this, that uh, first name equal to first name plus something else. This line number 10 and line number 11, both are 100% same. So if I comment the first line and if I write this one, it will be, you see, the same. But you see, it just append when the first string ends, it just append after that. So we expect that here should be a space, but actually there is not. So if you want, then you can add a space here and then save it and then run. Yeah, now is correct. So the plus and the equal to, you can write like this also, and you can write in a short form like this also. These are both same thing, and its functionality is joining first and then assign the result to the variable on the left. Okay, its functionality is like this. Okay, next one, more mathematical libraries. For example, if you want some mathematical calculations like sine theta, cos theta, tangent theta, square root, log, or absolute value, so all these are possible, but you will have to include CMath library. Let me quickly show you. uh, like I will just copy this and another one, math dot cpp. Save this one, just Nafes and okay. Here you see I included the CMath include file, the preprocessor directive, and once this one is included, the definition of all these functions, the sine, cos, tangent, absolute, log, square root, all these functions now we can use. So for example, if I simply type cout directly, okay, uh, the cos and sine values of 90 are, and after that I type cos, and these are functions. You will have to use parentheses, and inside that you can use uh, the value that you want to calculate. And another one, if I want sine and it's a function parenthesis and 90 and then semicolon. Save this one and run. So you see the cost and sine value of 90 are, so the cost value is, oh, I didn't give a space. Let me give a space first. So here I will add a space. Just type and, okay, like this. There should be a space before and after and, then it will be not joined with each other. So now you can see the cos and sine value of 90 are this one 0.4, so it's almost negative 0.5 and 0.89. So you can find like this. You can find you can use square root. See out SQRT, square root is a functionality. Square root of any value you can type, like square root of 9. Okay, we should provide some the square root of we should, yeah, square root of 9 equal to this, and then this one. Save it and run it. Oh, I didn't put, no, sorry, new line. Let's put two new line. Save again and run. Now, so you see the square, oh, I didn't put equality also. The square root of 9 equal to this one. Yeah. So you can use square root, you can use sine, cos, tangent, all these mathematical maths functions when you include this CMath. You see, if the CMath is not included, let me comment this, then uh, you see, if I just commented, you see I got a red line under each one. So now the compiler don't understand what is this, because their definitions are here in this file. So when this file is not included, compiler can't understand that. So this must be included. So if I remove this one, you see all these gone. Okay, next one is a random function and s random. A random function and s randoms are like this, that it generates a random number. Let me show you the random.cpp. Just press this, delete this. Sorry. Okay. Now, if I create a variable, let's suppose n equal to, oh, not the point that if I want to use a random array, then I should include this library first, cstd lib. Okay, so we will include this one, head sign include cstd lib. Okay, and after that I can use a random and s random. So random, rand, okay, and it's a function, okay, just like this, and then you see we can see out the value that a random number equal to n, semicolon. Okay, let's put some backslashes. new line, save this one. So you see it will generate a random number, but a random number, how big and how small it should be, there is a range that you see the random number is 41. So how, in what range it will be? The range is from 0 until the maximum size of the max value of int, and that is I think 32767. Okay, so if you want, okay, to be smaller, if you want to reduce the range, for example, you want a random number between 1 and 10, okay, then just do like this. The technique for this one, that mode, mode is a remainder operator. So whatever random number is generated, that will be divided by 10. Okay, so anything which is divided by 10, the value will be in this range. So save this one and run. So you see this time is 1. Okay, next time again run. Yeah, again 1. You see we are saying that it is a random number. One time we are expecting that one time it should be one value, and next time when we run it should be another value, and next time when we run it should be another value, because it is a random number. But you see whenever I am running, it generates the same value. So the reason is that if you want this randomness, then we need to create sorry, we need to introduce the sRandom. Okay, the sRandom function, and that one is like this. Yeah, we will introduce sRand. Okay, sRand, and in the sRand function, inside the parentheses, we will provide another function which is time. Okay, that it will read the system time. Okay, the system time, and then it, what will be the effect of this? The effect of this will be that it will change every time the random number which is generated by rand. Okay, when you type 0, did I type 0 or yeah, no, should work. I have already tested before. Oh, it needs C time also, sorry. It needs C time library also, not only stdlib. Okay, this was the issue. Yeah, you see the line gone. Okay, so the point was like this. I am repeating quickly once again, that this rand function generates a random number. Okay, and if you want any range to specify, like less than 10, 1 and 10, every time the number should be 1 and 10, then you can use this one. Okay, let me remove this one and show you. Run. So you see it is 41 now. If I run again, it will be again 41. If I run again, it will be again 41. Okay, so as many times you run, it will be 41, 41, the same number. So actually random means that every time it should be different value. So for that purpose, first we should initialize sRandom with the time. Okay, and for the time function, we need ctime library preprocessor directory, and for the srand and rand we need stdlib. Okay, now if this time if you run, every time you will get a different value. You see 2 2 2, this one. You see I remove the mod 10. This is why the number is bigger now. So if I run again, you see this time is 2258, different from 22480. If I run again, you see every second its value changes because of the SRAM. So we can generate random numbers. So if you want that the random number should be in some lower limit, it should not be in 1000 like the previous time, then you can put a mode operator, and what range you want you specify that one. If for example you want that it should be less than 15, okay, then put this one and save it and run again. So the random number generated this time will be less than 15. You see 9, and if I run again, then different number but less than 15. This time is 13. Run again, okay, and this time is 11. So in this way you can generate a random number. It's a quite useful function actually in many situations. Sometimes we need random numbers. Okay, so any issue with this, any problem? So next one, this is a very good practice. This is just like a good programming practice, and especially for beginners. When beginners like you, when you want to learn programming, then this technique is very useful. So what is it? Actually, you see the hand tracing program means that you become like a programmer. Okay, you become like a computer. So you think exactly like I am a compiler, and I am running the program line by line, and line by line whatever is the output, whatever is the input, I will show it. So how to do it? It is like this. You see in this program, I hope you can see the text is visible for you. You can see. Oh my God. Let's go quickly. Yeah, you can see now. Hello guys, all of you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in this program we have four variables. You see double, num1, num2, num3, and average. Okay, so you see on line number 7, when the compiler comes to this line, okay, then it creates these four variable. So we as a human, if we want to hand trace, then we will create a table like this, and the table columns will be the same number of columns as the number of variables that you have. So here we have four variables, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this table has four columns. Okay, so when the compiler reaches to line number 7, these variables will be created. So these variables are just created. So you see we didn't assign any value to average, any value to any variable. So this is why the values of the numbers are unknown, question mark. Then when it comes to line number 8, still its value is unknown, because it is just a cout prompt. Okay, this cout prompt doesn't change anything here, so this is why the values are still unknown. Okay, after this, at line number 9, it reads a value but only for one variable. And once it reads the value, whatever value is given, then that value will be stored in num1. This is why you see at line number 9 here, you see the num1 get a value and the rest still unknown. And line number 10 again is a prompt. It doesn't change anything. So only num1 has a value. The rest are still unknown. At line number 11, num2 will get a value and num1 already have. So num1 is 10 and num2 is 20. and then at 12 and then at 13 num3 will get a value. So you see 10, 20 and 30, and at line number 14 average will get a value. So these three values divided by 3. Okay, actually this should not be the correct division, it should be like this. Okay, otherwise division will take will do first. Okay, so at line number 14 average also got a value. So 10, 20, 30 and 40. Okay, so at line number 15 you see this is a message, and then we just display the value, but the values of variables are still the same. So you see we create this table exactly line by line like the program will work. How the compiler will assign and how the compiler will process each line, we generated this table like that. So this is called hand tracing, and once you practice like this at the beginning, then you will really understand the logic behind the programming. Okay, and the programming will become very easier for you. So any question, any confusion about this hand tracing? And now you should help me. This is activity. I created another program. I wrote like this because in one sequence the page is quite small. I cannot write everything in one slide. So all the libraries I wrote here. Okay, then int main, and I created three variables, four variables like in the previous case. Uh, Subject 1, subject 2, subject 3 and average, and then I wrote cout enter your subject 1 marks, then cin. Okay, and then I created a random number, and then I assigned the random number to n, and I did uh, subject 2 marks are equal to, you see I didn't get from user, I assign to subject 2 using some calculation like subject 1 marks plus the n that I generated randomly. Okay, and then a random 2 again. Okay, new number will be generated, and then subject 3 marks equal to subject 2 minus n this time, and then the average value like that. So can you help me how to create this table? So what should be the headings of this table? What should I type? Hello, help me.
Yes, sir.
Sub
What should I
1.
type? Oh, okay, good. So maybe the columns are smaller. We have less space. So I will just type S1, right? S1 means subject 1. S2 means subject 2. S3 means subject 3. Okay. The other one should be average. And the last one should be what? Any idea?
Marks.
No, marks. This is, you see, anything which is in double quotation, it is just a message. It's not a variable. It doesn't occupy any memory. Our focus is on memory variables. Any idea?
Nothing. Nothing.
What is any other variable in this program other than these four? Sub
N.
one, sub, huh?
N.
N, very good. Yes, it should be n because n is also a variable. Okay, so then after that, at line number 1, let's consider the numbering from here. Okay, from this one. Okay, at this point. Okay, should I drag a bit down? Not this one. Should be like this. Yeah. Okay, at this point, you see, when these variables are created, okay, what should be the values of this? What will be the values of this? What will be the value of subject 1? Huh?
0.
Not 0, unknown. We didn't assign any value, you see, sub 1, comma, sub. So if you do like this, like sub 1 equal to some value, then it will get. Otherwise, we don't know what value it has. Okay, this one is also unknown. This one is also unknown. This one is also unknown. But actually, at this moment, even there is no n. Okay, even there is no n because n is not even created yet. You get what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so next line, you see, and this one, C out, and to this line. At this line, this is also just a C out statement, and it doesn't change any variable yet. So still are the same. So I will just copy and paste the same thing here. Nothing has been changed. At this line, you see C in subject 1. At this time, the subject 1 will get a value, and let's suppose we enter like previously 10. Okay, so let's suppose we enter 10, but it should be a marks, so it should be 60. Okay, then the rest will be what? Still unknown because only subject 1 got marks, the other didn't get any value. True?
Yes, sir.
Okay. After that, S random, you see at this line also, what will happen? Nothing will happen because it just initializes the random system. Okay. So only subject 1 has a marks, the other one nothing, the other one also nothing, and even n is not created yet. Then the next line, this one, int n random 10. So here a new variable will be created. Okay, only new variable which its name is n, that is created only, and not only created but value is also assigned at the same time. Okay, and that value will be always less than 10. Okay, but still subject 1 has a value, subject 2 doesn't have, subject 3 doesn't have, average doesn't have, the n has a value. So I will do like this, that n equal to n created also, and it's got a value also. Note the point, when I am typing here, the n automatically, the PowerPoint changes to capital, but you will not change to capital because you know that capital N and small n from computer point of view are different. Okay, so n, let's suppose the value is assigned 5. Okay, like this, 5. Then at next line, you see at this one, sub 2, subject 2 got a value. So what value subject 2 got?
65.
Fine.
Exactly. Subject 1, which is 60, and n, which is 5, so 65. So how I should write this line in the table?
60,
60. Next.
65.
65.
Yes, good. 65. Next.
Unknown.
Unknown. Good. Unknown.
Unknown.
And here is 5. Okay, next one. You see, I created another random number and I assign to the same n. You see, this is not a new variable, it's the same variable. This is why I didn't use int again. Okay, it's the same variable. So the subject 1 marks are the same, subject 2 marks are also the same. There is no change in it. Subject 3 didn't get any value, average didn't get any value, but this time another new number will be generated. You see, the random number, we don't know what will be generated, so we just assume, right? So let's just assume that it is 3. Okay, now at this line what will happen?
Subject 3 equal to subject 2 minus 3.
So what will be the value of subject 3?
62.
63.
65 minus 3 is equal to 62. Okay, and the subject 1 and subject 2 marks are still the same, it doesn't change, and average didn't got any value yet, and it is still 3. Next line on this one, average variable got a value. Okay, note the point, average is first this addition, and then the result will be divided by 2 by 3. So the example given in the slide image is not correct. You should put parentheses around this. Okay, so now average got a value. So what will be the average? Well, you can calculate. Okay, so let's do calculation. So calculator.
6. 23.5
What's the value? 16 plus
plus
65 plus 62 divided by 3. So 62.333. Okay, 62.33. Let's suppose like this. Okay, and the rest are still the same. 62, and this is the same, and it is still 3. So you see, as the compiler, whatever compiler will do in the coding, we visualize the same thing in the table. This is called hand tracing, and it is a really very useful tip to learn a programming, especially for beginners. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, good. So let's go ahead. So there is a case study. Let's try to understand this case study. Actually, until now, all the examples and all the coding that we run, it was very simple segment. It was not a complete program. Okay. So how to write a complete program like to solve some social problem? One aspect. Another aspect, all the question in exams, for example midterm and final exam, the question will be not like this small that we simply declare a variable, assign a value to that and display it. No, it will be not like this. Some case study, some problem will be given, and you will have to understand the problem, and then you will have to write a program for that. Okay, that will be a real world problem. So in this is the way how to do it. So let's try to understand how to first understand the problem, and then how to analyze and how to write a program for that. Okay, so you see here, this is the case study. That General Crates Incorporation, this is a company name. Okay, it builds custom designed wooden crates. Okay, so you have been asked to write a program that calculates what? It will calculate the volume in cubic feet of the crates, the cost of the crates, the customer price, and profit of any crate of that the company builds. So meaning to say the profit for the company. So you will have to calculate this volume, cost, customer price, and profit. So you see, a problem will be given like this. Actually, there are many hidden information that you should think of. For example, if you want to calculate volume, what you need?
Area.
Do you remember? Do you remember the formula of volume?
Pi r.
Length time width time height. Okay, so you need the length, width, and height of the crack. Then you can do like this. For example, this is a crack. Okay, it's two-dimensional. I don't know how to draw the third dimension, the height. Okay, so let's suppose this is the length. Okay, this is the width, and here will be a height also to become like a cube. Okay, so you need length time width time height to calculate the volume. So you see, this is a hidden thing that you should plan for that. First, you should have these three values, then you can calculate volume. Okay, next point, if you want to find the cost, then you should know some information from the company that by how much they are buying the things, what is the cubic cost from them. Okay, so you see here we need another information, cubic cost. And then customer price, then by how much they are selling. Okay, and then the selling price and the cost price, it from these two we can find the profit. So you see, these like things are hidden in the problem that you should know, and then you will have to extract this information from the problems during the analysis. This is called analysis of the problem, to understand what is actually the problem. Okay, so let's go ahead how to analyze. You see, this is variables. You first of all, you will create a variable list, that if I want to solve this problem, what variables I needed. So in this case, you see, first of all, you need cost per cubic foot. So this will be like a constant variable. We have studied the const int and const float variable, if you remember. So a named constant, you see, you will describe that what is it. A named constant declared as a double and initialized with the value. So you see, this value is given. So it means that per cubic the cost is 0.23, and this represents the cost to build a crate per cubic foot. You see, quite nicely explained, but actually this will be not given in the problem statement. Sorry, excuse me. So the problem will be given like in the previous slide. These things you will have to analyze, and you will have to extract information from the problem. In the same way, charges per cubic feet. So you will explain like this. You need the length, you need the width, you need the height, and then you can calculate volume, and then you can calculate cost, because once you have volume, okay, and you have the cost of that, okay, the cost, and you can calculate the cost from the cubic meter and the whole volume, so you can easily find the cost. I will show you how to do this. Okay, and after that, the charges, that the total cost comes how much. Okay, yeah, for example, the customer price, by how much they are selling, and then the selling price and the profit. So from the selling price minus the cost price, that will be the profit. You see, all these things are given. So you will have to extract these information from the problem. So you can say like this, that these informations are actually hidden in the problem. And note another point, that if you are solving a real world problems, the real world people are not computer field people. Okay, they don't know about computers. They just want solution. That someone will tell you that, okay, I need a computer program which can do this for me. And that person cannot explain to you in terms of computer terminologies that oh, you need this variable, you need this function, you need this. No, that person only wants solution. Okay, so you will have to extract this information. Do you understand what I am saying to you? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. If any confusion, you can stop me and you can ask. So first of all, when you get a problem, you will create a list of variables, and the list of variables you will have to explain that this variable I will use for what purpose, this variable I will use for what purpose, and so on. So you will highlight all the variables first. Then the program design comes after that. Okay, so how to get values for the variable? Step 1, ask the user to enter the dimensions. So dimensions are what? Length, width, and height. So you means you see you will get these values from the user. And then step 2, once you get the dimension, then calculate volume, and then calculate the cost of building a single crate, because you have the volume, you have the uh, cubic cost. Uh, okay, so the cubic cost multiplied by the whole volume, you can get the crate volume. Sorry, the crate cost. And then the customer charges. Okay, this one is already given here. You see, per cubic, this is the cost. This is the charge. Okay, so if you have the whole volume multiplied by this, so that will be the total charges, and then profit. So charges minus cost will be the profit, and later on display the calculated values, the data calculated. So all these things, actually the customer only want this. Okay, the rest of the details you will have to find out. So in this way, you will have to design steps that, okay, first I will have to do what, then second, and then what I will have to do. So you will plan the program on paper first, like this, not in a coding yet. So you see, all these things are happening on paper first. No, and one thing more that I will share with you, that all the professional people that they are doing a big programming, like for example, programmers in Google and programmers in Facebook, okay, that they are designing the big software, even those programmers cannot start directly programming. They analyze the problem like this first, and then find a solution, and then write coding. Once you understand the problem and you understand the steps, actually programming is not difficult. Then the difficult part is this one, that you understand and you know the steps, what to do and how to do. Okay, after that you will create a flow chart or hierarchy chart like this, that you see, calculate the volume like this, and then get the, to calculate the volume you need to get this, you need to do this, you need to do this. Okay, and then to get the dimension, you can get from user, get length, get width, all those. You see, the same thing that we have done in the program design, it is given now in a diagrammatic way. Okay, and final step is the pseudocode. Okay, in pseudocode, you see, it is everything that it is 100% the same program, but written in English word. Sorry, in English language. Like for example, you see, ask the user to input crates length. Okay, so it is what? You display a prompt, C out, please enter length of the crate, and C in to get the value. Okay, and second one, ask the user to enter width, ask the user to enter height, and then calculate volume. Once you have these three values, you already know what is the volume. Okay, then calculate cost of building the crate. So you have the cubic one, and once you have the volume, multiply the whole volume by cubic rate, then you can get it. and then calculate the customer charges. You have the charge per cube, so you have the whole volume, so the charge per cube multiplied with the whole volume, you will get the whole charges. And then the profit, okay, charges minus cost is the profit. And then display the volume, display the cost, display the customer charges, and display the profit. So you see, all this is actually a complete program, but written in English language. This is why it is called pseudocode. And once you have this one, so you see now is like a step-by-step things are clear now, so you can easily convert to program. Is it okay? I think now even you can convert to program, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. You see, these are okay. If some calculations are there, so you see, you will have to clear this one also. That volume is like this, cost is like this, charge is like this. These values are already in the variables that we have discussed previously. Okay, and profit is like this. So you see, these are the three things that the company actually want: cost, charges, and profit. But most probably the companies are only interested in their profit. But how to show the profit to me? But you will have to do all this stuff. And finally, you will come to a program once you do all these things. So what are the steps? Create a list of variables and describe that, and after that write steps that okay, how to get values for all these variables. Okay, you will write step for that, and then come out to the calculations that okay, inside the program I need some calculation. What calculations are involved, like how to calculate volume and charges and cost, all those stuff. And after that you will draw a flowchart, and then a pseudocode, and finally a program. So if you try several times at several problems like this, then you can do very nice programming, and you will be a very good programmer in the future. Okay, now if you look at this program, you see it is exactly the same thing that the pseudocode was. Okay, so you see const int cost per cubic foot, and the value is assigned. It is a constant variable. And const int charge per cubic foot. So one is the cost and one is the charge. Okay, meaning to say the cost is coming 0.2, but they are charging the customer by 0.5. And after that you see the double length, width, height, volume, cost, charges, and profit. And you see finally is semicolon. Double length, comma width, comma height, comma volume, comma cost, comma charge, and so meaning to say all these are actually in one line, but just for understanding purpose they have divided into separate line to put the comments for you. And after that this is just the set precision to display to show to format the display. Okay, next one is like this. You see, like in the pseudocode was ask the user to enter this, ask the user to enter this. So it is what? It is the same thing. You see, cout, enter, cout this until height, and then you see, you look at volume equal to length time width time height, and then the cost equal to volume time the per cubic cost, and the charge equal to volume time per cubic charge, and profit equal to charge minus cost. So you see, you already found volume, you already found cost, you already found charge, and you already found profit. Then simply display these four values. So in this way, you can write such a program which will solve a real world problem. Any confusion, any question until this point?
No, sir.
Is clear. Okay, I have observed like this, that when I am explaining, not in your class, in other classes also, that many of the students are absent-minded. Absent-minded means sometime maybe they are checking Facebook, sometime maybe they are somewhere else, okay, but mentally not present, so they miss many things. But later on when there is assignment time, then actually they don't know how to do. So I will tell you that please be present minded. So this is why if you go to ELIP, okay, in ELIP I have given you 2 case studies like this. Okay, go to ELIP. In ELIP I have given you 2 case studies. Wow. And you see one case study is this one, and in the same way the information will be hidden there, and you will have to do the variable description and the program design. You see I have written for you, refer to slide this, refer to slide this, okay, and the flow chart, refer to the charting one, okay, and then you will have to write a pseudo code. And the second case study, and the same thing, variable, blah blah blah, all this. So for this purpose I want you people to discuss with each other and do these steps for each case study, and after that you will have to upload the solution. You will write all the details in MS Word file, okay. So then you will upload the MS Word file to this assignment. So what I am doing now, I am dividing all of you into two groups, okay. We will take a break also, and in the same while I will give, in the same time I will give you time like 20-30 minutes, and you will have to do these things. And if any confusion, then let me know. So I want to see that can you do like this. This is actually a problem solving technique. So you are taking a real world problem and you are trying to provide solution to a real world problem. And if you remember at the beginning, I have shown you one time that the coming jobs are for those people who has a problem solving skill. So these are the way that you can improve your problem solving skill. Yeah. So okay, the same case study that we discussed, I want to show you in a Scratch program. So in this Scratch program I created all the variables. So now we need to give values to these 2 variables, cost per cubic feet and charge per cubic foot. So how to give values to this? You go to variables again and click set. Okay, set, and you see set here. When you click the drop down, you will see all the variables that we created. So the charge I have written wrongly. Okay, I will correct that one. So cost per cubic feet, if you remember, it was 0.23, right? Yeah. So you see, I already said. Okay. Now if you go to the variables, this one I think I have mistyped. Cost, and this one, yeah. You see this one mistyped. So I right click on this and rename. So this is charge, not charge. Okay, charge. So I rename it. So in the same way, I will give to the other one also. So you just right click on it and duplicate. You see, duplicate, and then change the variable name. Charge per cubic foot, and if you remember, its value was 0.5. So these 2 done already. The 3 length, width, height we want to get from user, right? So to get from user, you see any block that you want to delete, you just drag to the left, it will be deleted. Okay, you should use this one, not the other one. Ask for what? Enter length. Okay, so you see, if I click this one, you see enter length, and here is the typing area. So the user can enter 10. But you see, when I press enter, the 10 goes where? Is just last state. So to save this one, you go to variables again and then click set. okay, and set the length to what? To the answer. Now you click again, you see, right click, enter length, so it is waiting for that. So if I press, type 10 and press enter, so you see, can you see the length variable? It got the value.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is why any input value go to the answer, and then from the answer we assign to the length. So it is in C++, it is like length equal to answer. Okay, so the same thing, these two things I need for height, I need for width, right? So I will duplicate the whole block, okay, the whole block, and then change this one to height, okay, and change this one also, don't forget to change this one also to height, right? And duplicate once again, and width. If any one of you don't understand, you can ask. Width, and don't forget to change this one also to width. Where is width? Is here. And after that join with this, and after that join with the total. So if by this red one you can stop it, and by the green flag you can start again. You see, enter length. Look at the length variable. Everyone focus on this, okay? Previously it is having 10. Now I am giving 5. Okay, you see the value change, right?
Yes.
So this is why it is called variable. Okay, next one, enter height. If enter the height, let's suppose 3. So you see the height variable changed, right? Okay, enter width. If I enter the width equal to 2, so you see everyone got value. Height got value, length got value, width got value. Now what left? The calculation left, right? So how to do volume? So for volume we need multiplications, right?
Yes.
Okay. So for multiplication, go to this green tab, operators, click this operator, and here you see this is multiplication. But you see it has two things. It can multiply 2, but we need 3. So what to do? Bring one more, okay, and put in the last one. Then it will become 3. If you want 4, bring another one, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So you see, in the first one, we want to put length, then width, then height, or in any number. So if you click the variables, you see you can just drag height into this, multiplied with the length into this, multiplied with width into this. Volume is calculated, right? Even if you click this one, you see it will give you the value based on these values. So volume is calculated, but we need to assign this to volume now. How? Exactly like this, set. Okay, set. Okay, set what? Volume to what? To this. Done? Hello guys.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, good. So volume is done like this. Now, in the same way, I need to calculate the cost. Okay, so to calculate the cost, if you remember, cost is equal to the cubic cost multiplied by volume. So I need two values. So I will go again here and just get the multiplication here, and I need two values. So two values is not an issue. Just go to variables and bring the cost per cubic foot and multiplied with the whole volume. And this calculated value, you see, if you just click it, it will give you the value. Why? Because the volume don't have value yet. Okay, yes. So this calculated value we want to put in the cost variable. So bring this one and change this to cost. Where is cost? This one, and put this one there. Done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. What left? Charge left, right?
Charge.
So the same do with charge. Charge equal to multiplication of volume and the charge cubic cost. So bring these variables. Charge this one. You can put, you see, you can put in any one. It is not necessary that left and right, because multiplication, this is called commutative property. Left and right doesn't change the value and volume. So this is the total charge, and now put this in a charge variable. So where is charge? Charge, this one, charge, and put in this, and done here. Done.
Yes.
What? Oh, profit left,
Profit.
right? Okay, so profit is what? Charge
Minus.
minus cost. Minus cost. So this time bring minus, not multiplication. Okay, go to variables, charge minus what?
Cost.
Minus cost. Yeah. Note the point that it should be in proper order. You cannot put the cost in the left and the other one in the, because minus operation make differences when you change the order. So now put this in a profit variable. So set profit, this one to this, and bring this. So you see, calculation finished. We did all the 4 calculation. What left? Just to display, right?
Yes, sir.
So for the display purpose, you just go to the look and say what? So it says say hello. I don't want to say hello. I want to say, you see, if I can bring variable to this, say what? Say volume.
Profit.
So anyone you can bring in any order. Okay, but actually it will just display the value, like volume is 30, it will just display the value 30. Okay, for example, volume already has a value. Oh, volume doesn't have any value. So I want here a message also, like in C++ prompt. So what to do? For this purpose, go to variables and bring join. You see, join. Sorry, excuse me. So the join example is given apple and banana, but it is just example. So put here, and I will say, I will type here volume equal to this. So this is a join. So then bring this join into the hello. So say volume equal to this value for 2 seconds. You can change the 2 second to less and to more if you want. The same thing I need for, just duplicate value. Next one should be cost. Cost equal to, and I should bring cost. Okay, where is cost? Cost is this one, right? I can simply duplicate and bring to this. And this one, if you want to delete, just drag to the left and leave it. It will delete it automatically. Okay, at the bottom there is somewhere, where is it? There is one recycle bin. I don't know. It is somewhere. Okay. So in the same way, I will duplicate. Okay, I will duplicate this one also. For charge equal to, and I will bring charge. You can bring from variables also, if this one is difficult for you. So you can bring from here also. Okay, the cost, take it out, throw, and charge. Okay, put this one there and duplicate once again for profit. Okay, so here profit equal to profit equal to profit. Bring profit from here. Where is profit? This one. Okay, bring, take this out, throw to the left, put this. I think done, right? Everything done, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's try. So first up, okay, rerun by clicking the flag. So it's asking enter length. So if I enter the length, let's suppose 5, sorry, 5. I want to enter small values that we can easily calculate that our program is correct or not. So 5, you see length got a value, and then height equal to 3, the same value, and width equal to 2, the same value. So you see it's saying charge is this, cost is this, and profit is this. Did you get? You see volume is 30. Is it true? 5 multiplied 3, 5 multiplied 3 is 15. 15 times 2 is 30. It's true, right?
Yes.
And 30 multiplied by 0.23, okay, calculator, let's do it. 30 multiplied by 0.23 is equal to 6.9. You see our one is also the same, 6.9. Charge equal to what? 30 multiplied by 0.50, 0.5. So 15, charge is correct. Okay, and you see cost is coming almost 7 and selling more than double. Wow, so cruel, right? It's selling quite expensive, right? So this is the way how to do the program. So the scratch one I did for this purpose, that you know how to calculate the variables, how to do the calculation, how to display, how to prompt a message. So now any confusion?
No, sir.
Should be okay or
Hello?
not? Yes,
Hello?
welcome. Yeah.
Why we need to add to the blue column? What is that? Ask in the language.
You don't know the meaning of ask.
Yes. What is the function?
You see, let me remove from this. You see, it is ask separate now. Okay, if you stop it, you see nothing is here, right? And the sprite, it is called sprite, the cat. Okay, it is not. I'm just clicking this one. You see, click. You see, enter length. So it display the message whatever you type here. You see, I'm changing. Hello. Okay. Now stop. Click again. You see, hello. Actually, it is a prompt. It is in C++ point of view. It is the combination of cout and cin statement together. It will display a message. You see, it display a message whatever you type, and then it's waiting for the value to enter, and that will be stored where? It will be stored in one general variable whose name is answer. You see, look at this answer. I am entering 25. Okay, and press enter, and now I am clicking the answer. You see, 25 is there. Is it okay now?
Got it.
Okay, good.
Can,
Yes.
can we just skip the ask and directly go to set?
Yeah, you can go like this, but if you go to our slide, in our slide we design the program like this. You see, ask the user to enter. ask the user to, so I was just following this style. This is why. Is it okay?
Yeah.
So it you see it depends on the situation. The situation is about asking or the situation is about setting, and actually it depends on your creativity also. Okay, if is not specifically mentioned like this, or if your way of solving problem is not like this, you want a different way, it's up to you. It's actually the creativity comes from here. And I want to see that, you see, you are 30 students in my class. I want to see how many of you are solving the same problem in different ways. And this is the beauty of this universe, that everyone have different skill, different way, right?
Yes, sir. No code going to be the same.
Sorry.
So our code is gonna be all different, sir. It's okay.
Okay, good. So I think our time is almost gone. If you want something, I don't mind. I can explain again and again. And if you don't want, then we can go to attendance. And I think most of you will say, yes, we want to go to attendance. Right?
Sir, can I ask one question
Yeah,
for the manipulator, sir?
yeah. Okay, yes.
What is the difference on you between using set precision X and set width? If
Oh,
you do
okay,
decimal points.
okay. Set width means set width. Okay, set width. Okay, set width means that when the computer is displaying some value, then before display create a, a, a box. But this box is non-visual. We can't see, but actually there is a box. So if you have fixed set width 8, let's suppose, okay, then this box will be enough long to display 8 characters, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It should be until like this. Okay, it will create a box which is not visible, but it will be that much. And later on, when you want to display a number, let's suppose you are displaying 60.65. Then the way of displaying is from right to left. So 5 will be displayed at the rightmost place, another 6 in the next one, the dot in the next one, the 0 in the next one, and the 6 in the next one. If any place is left, that will be on the left of this number. So this is about set width. Is it okay now? Clear?
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay, now come to the precision, set precision. Set precision controls the number of digits after decimal point. In some calculation, we got a value like this, like 33333. Huh? Do you remember some calculation?
Yes.
It is too long, right? And actually we don't want that much. So if you want to have only 2 digits after this, then you use set precision. Okay, the precision, all those of, and put the value 2, and this need fixed value, the fixed operator also. Okay, fixed, the set precision and the fixed work together. So it means it will control only the number of digits after decimal point. And the set width creates a space to display. So this goes like this, that if you create for all values 8, then they will display in a very aligned, proper way, and easy to read, and mostly reports are created like that. Is it okay?